Hi there, Dr. Onalee here. If you are tempted to get back together with them, especially if it's been a week, 2 weeks, a month, some time has passed since your last interaction, I want you to go ahead and write out, like literally do this. Go write out why did either you break up with them or why did they break up with you? How did it feel when you ended it, when you decided to make that decision or when they decided to make that decision? How did it feel when they ghosted you and you didn't hear from them the next day or the next 2, 3 days? What happens when some time passes and the nervous system calms down is the brain is searching for meaning. The brain is searching for reunion. The brain is searching for a feeling of a dopamine hit or serotonin. And it starts to then search for a way to reconcile. So it starts bringing back memories that were good. And it will start making you feel like you messed it up or you need to give it another chance. And this is so natural and this is so human of us. I can relate to this. Even I had a partner years ago who moved out on me with no warning, no conversation, did it behind my back. We were even intimate that morning. Totally blindsided me, totally confused me. And for 4 years, this person tried to get back with me. And I let him in a little bit, but I knew I could never fully get back with him because I said if I had children with him, I wouldn't feel safe because he's the kind that would walk out on his family and leave his children. So I knew I could never marry this person. But there was temptation to get back with him, which seems so crazy. And why? Because when there was time apart. And then when he realized the grass was not greener on the other side and he tried to come back to me, it was an ego boost for me. It was a confidence boost for me. See, you didn't find anyone better. You still like me. I'm still the best. And so it allowed a little bit of an opening. If I were to go back in hindsight, not that I can change anything, but if I were to learn from that and gain wisdom and discernment from it, I would see that my work would have been to close the door and to keep it closed. That would have been my spiritual assignment. That would have been my lesson. And so take an inventory. What has been your pattern in romantic relationships, especially with narcissist or avoidance? For me, the door would close or they would close the door. They would go see if the grass was greener on the other side and they would always come back. 9 times out of 10, they would come back and I would let them back in because I wanted to be forgiving. I thought that that must mean it's a sign. Maybe you need to fight for love. Nobody's perfect. I don't want to hold a grudge. I would do all of this justifying and rationalizing. I'd reopen the door. It would be good at first. And then it would always get into even worse than it was before because now there's an element of punishment. Now there's an element of resentment and bitterness, and it's just a mess. So for me personally, my spiritual assignment was when a door would close, I have to keep it closed. Do you see how this is not necessarily universal? Because some people do break up and get back together. And some couples, they needed a year apart and it works and that's healthy for them, apparently. But for me, it wasn't. For me, it kept causing so much pain and I personally needed to learn my unique lesson. So I'm inviting you to take a look at what is your unique lesson. For example, when somebody's flaky in the beginning or non-committal, maybe your job is to let them go and to not try to get them to commit to you or be less flaky. Maybe yours is when they're harsh, they raise their voice, they yell at you, they curse at you, that the first time they do it, you're not okay with that. You don't just say they're being human, it will get better. You close the door. When we keep attracting in narcissistic or avoidant kind of relationships, or we stay with them, we get back with them, we do the dance with them, there's something that we're not learning. There's something we're not healing from. And if you really take a close inventory, which is what I help you do in my homeschool program, I take you through the 6 steps to recover from these relationships so that you don't need to keep replaying them, going on the hamster wheel, and then just attracting another one over and over again. The work here, one of the steps is you'll take an inventory. You're going to see what is your common pattern and way of being, and especially the way that you feel, your core wound in these relationships. Because once you can discover that, you won't need this relationship that's just trying to help you heal. The reason a narcissist or an avoidant is in your life is because they're trying to help you heal. They are mirroring back and reflecting a wound or an insecurity that you have not healed within you. And it feels really extreme and really painful in these kind of relationships. And it's easy to blame them and to be mad at them. But that's where you're not going to heal. That's where you're just going to keep attracting it or staying with this person. The healing is we zoom out and we see, wow, this person makes me feel like I'm not chosen. This person makes me feel like they changed their mind when I had a request or an emotional need. This person makes me feel like I'm too much or I'm too sensitive or I'm too crazy. This person makes me feel like I'm not that beautiful or special or somebody else is. Wow, that gives me information of my insecurity. My work is to then love myself, respect myself, choose myself, create new beliefs. And part of that choosing and loving and respecting yourself and creating new beliefs is not entertaining when somebody then makes you feel not special, not beautiful, not chosen. As an adult, you now have power and choice of what and who you allow into your life. As a child, you didn't. If somebody as a child made you not feel special or chosen or heard or beautiful or abandoned you, didn't have very much say or control over that. But that's why the healing here is as an adult, we do. You do not need to tolerate and be available for somebody who's not committing to you, who ghosts you, who stonewalls you, who turned on you. We might hear in society, nobody's perfect. You got to work through some things, talk it out, have better communication. And I don't necessarily think that's horrible advice, but I also don't think that that's good advice when you're talking about a narcissistic or an avoidant kind of relationship dynamic. That kind of advice is the exact advice that keeps you stuck in emotionally abusive or unhealthy relationships. That kind of advice is where you gaslight yourself and you justify it and you rationalize it, and then you feel like you're going crazy and you're losing your mind and your body's inflamed and your finances are struggling and every area of your life doesn't work anymore. And you can't seem to get it to work no matter how much you try. It's one of the ways you know you're in an unhealthy relationship, when you feel like you can't get your head above water and all the areas in your life are starting to decline. One of the hardest things, and it's the final note of tonight, is when you're in these kind of relationships, it's really psychologically damaging because the beginning was great, or the beginning had a promised future, or you guys got along so well, you really got each other, you thought that that was your soulmate, until it changed, until it turned. But what we don't realize, usually until it's too late or it's many years down the road, the when it changed, it's never going to revert back to how it was in these kind of dynamics. So in order to heal from these, to recover, it's going to require a lot of introspection. It's going to require taking an inventory, and then it's going to require you changing your behaviors and your reactions and what you tolerate and what you allow. When you are going to be done with narcissistic and avoidant kind of relationships, you're going to have to access major courage, faith, and trust. And that's not easy to do on your own, which is a reason I put together a community so that you're not walking this path alone anymore and you're not surrounded by people who don't understand narcissistic relationships. If you're interested in that, just go ahead and join with the link below. You could shoot me a message on Instagram at Dr.Onalee. And if you know you're listening to this and you really, really, really want to be done with narcissistic relationships, you want clarity, you want support, you want a breakthrough, you want to never entertain one again, you want to see it immediately, you want to start to prepare for your soulmate, you want to step into a new identity, that's what one-to-one work is for. So book a 30-minute one-to-one, and then we can see if the 1 or the 3 month at the last 2 minutes of the call is a fit for you. Point being, there's many ways to support you right now, even if it's continuing to listen to more of these YouTube videos. Stay immersed in this content. It's not just about what I'm teaching. It's about what it activates within you. It's about tapping into your own intuition, your own guidance, getting that validation, and then acting on it. My greatest invitation after this video is that you go implement something. You go take an action. You make a move, whatever the move is that's correct for you. You do something. Allow yourself to shift into the man or the woman that it is that you've been wanting to be. When you're in your power and you are secure and you're connected to your higher power, you will no longer be a match to narcissistic relationships, but it's going to require effort on your part. So you do have a say, you do have power, you do have control, and that's how you're going to break free from this. Thank you so much for being here. Comment below what stood out here. Comment below what it is that you are going to implement. What are you going to take action on? I'd love to hear and have you be immersed, have us all engage and support one another. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.